Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Before you click away, stay with me for the next several minutes because what I'm about to share could reshape how you view your holdings in the Iraqi dinar. I get it. A flood of panic, fear, rumors, and speculation has been circling the internet lately. Headlines, social media posts, and late-night forum threads keep warning that a lop or sudden devaluation might hit the dinar hard. At many holders are stressed, confused, maybe even regretting their decision to invest. But here's the thing, what if all that noise is wrong? What if instead of a crash, there's real potential for stability or even future growth? Today I'm going to walk you through in plain simple American English, exactly a dinar is unlikely ever to be lopped, why the panic is largely unfounded, and why calm, informed holders may be better positioned than ever in 2025. Stick around. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly where things stand. Let's begin by understanding what's actually going on. Many of the fears about the dinar's future stem from a few scary words, devaluation, collapse, switch, or lop. But these words are often used without any real context or sense of what they mean. In everyday language, people hear value drop and they panic. The truth is, currency value isn't a switch you flip overnight. In most nations, it's managed carefully by central banks, backed by real economic performance, international trade, and reserves. So before we buy into these doomsday rumors, we need to separate hype from reality. That's what I want to do in this video. I'm not relying on hearsay gossip or emotionally charged posts. I'm breaking it down based on how currencies, economies, and financial systems actually operate, and how that applies right now to Iraq and the dinar. A major reason people are worried is history. Iraq has had rough patches, wars, sanctions, That unsettled past often leads outsiders to assume that anything can go wrong, including a sudden devaluation of the dinar. But here's the reality: despite all those challenges, the currency has survived the institutions responsible. Banks, government agencies, foreign trade relationships have adapted, restructured, stabilized. The fact that the dinar still exists and still circulates in domestic and international trade speaks volumes about its resilience. More importantly, devaluing or lopping the currency in a harmful way would undermine that resilience. It would destroy trust, not only inside Iraq, but across the international community that trades, invests, or plans for the future with Iraq. Historically, damaging the currency has never aligned with Iraq's long-term interests. Let's talk about something central to all of this: oil. Yes, oil. Iraq is among the world's major oil producers, which gives it a significant advantage when it comes to managing national revenue and the currency. Because oil is priced globally, typically in US dollars. Exporting oil brings foreign reserves into Iraq. That inflow of hard currency doesn't just vanish. It becomes a stabilizing backbone that supports the dinar's value, especially in times when global oil demand influences currency markets worldwide. Iraq's ability to earn dollars through oil exports acts like a safety net. That's not something to dismiss lightly. For any would-be drastic currency move to happen, particularly a harmful devaluation, that oil-backed inflow would likely need to disappear or drastically shrink. And there's no credible sign that's happening. Because of this oil dollars pipeline, the economy keeps a certain level of predictability. Imagine you own something valuable, like a house, and every month you get a paycheck that reliably covers maintenance and debt. That reliability gives you confidence to keep that house, because you know you can handle its cost over time. The same principle applies to Iraq and the dinar. Oil revenue gives consistent inflows of foreign currency, which helps the central bank and government maintain operations, back reserves, and support general economic stability. That reduces the need for rash currency moves or forced devaluation. As long as those inflows remain, and current output and export levels suggest they will, the dinar has a built-in buffer against destabilizing actions. Now, Vietnam. Let's talk about systems that most people don't see but feel the impact of. The bank system, government fiscal policy, trade agreements, regulatory frameworks. These are like the skeleton and support network behind the currency. In stable countries, those systems evolve slowly, adjust to pressure, and help prevent shocks. In Iraq's case, especially post the past decade's turbulence, many of those systems have already been stress tested. They've had to adapt. At And they have done so in ways that protect the integrity of the currency or at the very least make catastrophic moves unlikely. For someone to wake up tomorrow to a massively devalued dinar, it would mean many layers of institutional failure, banks collapsing, oil revenue drying up, international trade collapsing. That's not just unlikely, it's virtually unthinkable, Consider for a moment what would happen to investor confidence, domestic and international, if the government did devalue the currency severely. Trust would melt away almost instantly, Foreign investors would demand exit or heavy discounts. Banks would tighten, trade deals would falter, inflation would spike, and those with savings or investments denominated in dinar would likely see not just devaluation but associated economic chaos, price instability, running costs, limited access to imports. And general financial hardship. It's not a small shake, it's a blow. For a country with Iraq's history and ambitions, such a blow would seriously hamper long-term economic recovery and growth. Politically, economically, socially, the damage would be too great. In that light, a reckless lot makes no sense. Now, I know what many of you are thinking, but I saw it on social media, or they say this time the government might do it. That's where we get into the problem of rumor vs. reality. On platforms filled with half-truths, fears, and speculation, it's easy to create panic. People with little to no inside knowledge make bold predictions. They paint worst-case scenarios, and because fear feels urgent, those predictions spread quickly. But the currency of rumors is not backed by facts, logic, or institutional realities, unlike the dinar itself. The difference between a tweet and a treasury report is huge. If we treat social media hype as fact, we set ourselves up for constant panic. That's why it's crucial to step back, assess the fundamentals, and ask, does this claim hold up under real economic pressure? Or is it just another alarmist post chasing clicks? So how should you as a dinar holder or potential investor filter out the noise? First, focus on real data: oil output levels, export numbers, foreign reserves, international trade activity. Statements from recognized financial authorities and developments in banking reforms. These are measurable, they are trackable, they have history. In contrast, rumors are often vague. And Cedar say, maybe, Sabe might, those words carry zero accountability. Take only what you can verify. Compare it with past patterns. Ask questions. Is there evidence of crisis? Is oil revenue drying up? Are banks collapsing or defaulting? So far, the answers remain no. That's not to say the dinar will skyrocket tomorrow. But the conditions for a destructive lop simply aren't present. Let's dive a little deeper into recent years, especially now. In 2025, the global economy has been volatile. Oil prices have fluctuated, demand has shifted. Countries worldwide have experienced currency stress. But despite that turbulence, the dinar has remained relatively stable. That itself is a signal. It means that foreign exchange inflows, export money, internal fiscal balance, and government bank coordination have done their job. Even with external pressure, Iraq's economic framework seems to hold. Vietnam, and that suggests to me and hopefully to you, that stability isn't by accident, it's by design, a deliberately managed currency backed by real export income. Vietnam, strong if imperfect institutions and trade relationships that matter. What about reform efforts? Over recent years, there have been signals that banking infrastructure is being modernized. International banking relationships are being reinforced. Regulatory practices are being updated, not to pave the way for a lop, but to bend credibility and ensure smoother financial operations, both domestically and internationally. Better banking means easier transactions, more trust from foreign institutions, and increased transparency. None of that aligns with a sudden, destructive devaluation. Instead, all signs point to preparation for sustained economic growth, not short-term shock therapy. Another common confusion among worried investors is mixing up two very different scenarios: revaluation and lop. Revaluation, raising the value of the dinar against other currencies, is entirely different from a lop. A forced drop. Vietnam, many hopeful in valuation when they see rumors about currency changes. That's understandable, hope is powerful. But what matters is what the change would do. Vietnam, would it strengthen the currency or weaken it based on what we see? Oil reserves, fiscal flows, Vietnam institutional stability. The more realistic futures, if anything, points toward measured growth, not devaluation. When the government acts, it will likely aim for credibility, not panic. Speaking to long-term investors, patience becomes one of your biggest assets. Unlike high-risk speculations, currency investment, especially in a country like Iraq, is rarely about quick, dramatic wins. It's more like holding a seed now, watering it, giving it time, and hoping for steady growth decades down the line. For those who entered expecting lightning returns, this might be frustrating, but if your mindset is long-term, if you believe in stability, gradual development, and eventual global reintegration, then holding on to your dinar may make sense. Panic, selling out of fear, is often the move that leads to losses. Let's also discuss psychological pressure. In times of uncertainty, fear spreads like wildfire. People hear rumors, see others panic, so they panic too, almost reflexively. That fear can push them to make impulsive decisions, sell, convert, abandon their position. But fear-based decisions in financial markets are rarely smart decisions. They can lead to undervaluing your holdings, missing out on potential long-term gains, or cashing out at the worst possible moment. That's why it's important to step back, breathe, remind yourself of the fundamentals, and avoid getting swept away by the hype. In most cases, calm, rational decision-making pays off for those still unsure, still looking for clarity. Here's a simple checklist to run through. Is there credible reporting or data indicating that oil revenue or exports are collapsing? 2. Are banks in default? Or is there evidence of massive withdrawals or currency panic domestically in Iraq? 3. Are international trade partners pulling out or refusing Iraqi currency? 4. Is the government declaring a plan to forcibly devalue? If the answer to all of these is no, then the idea of a LOP remains just what it is, an idea, a hypothesis, not a plan. So far, none of those red flags are present. If you choose to continue holding your dinar, consider treating your investment as part of a long-term strategy. Diversify. Maybe hold part of your net worth in more stable assets, part in currencies, part in other investments. Avoid putting all your eggs in the "hoping for revaluation soon" basket. That way, regardless of when or whether revaluation comes, you're protected. And if revaluation does happen, or the dinar remains stable with strong economic growth, you could be in a good position to benefit. It's less about timing the perfect moment, and more about consistent patience. Now, I want to address something many forget: global perception and reputation. For Iraq to remain integrated into the global economy, its currency must remain credible. Countries don't trade, invest, or partner with nations whose currencies are volatile, unpredictable, or prone to sudden devaluation. For Iraq to rebuild, attract foreign investment, secure deals, it needs trust. And trust comes from stability. For that reason alone, any reckless move, like a damaging LOP, would be counterproductive. The incentives all point toward careful management, not chaos. In addition, inflation and cost of living inside Iraq must be considered. Even if a currency were devalued, the public and domestic economy would suffer. Prices would rise, imports would cost more, domestic savings would shrink in value. That kind of pain would hit average citizens hardest. For a government aiming for long-term recovery and stability, that's a heavy price to pay. In short, a lot may not just hurt foreign investors, it would hurt the people, and the political, social, and economic cost of that would be high. Let's be clear, this isn't about sugar-coating reality or ignoring risk. No investment, currency or otherwise, comes with zero risk. Vietnam. External shocks, geopolitical events, global oil demand shifts, regional instability, all of that can impact Iraq's economy and the dinar. What I'm saying is, those risks don't automatically mean a lot. Risks mean you stay informed, stay vigilant, and make decisions based on data. But panic-based speculation, that's not strategy, it's fear dressed up as urgency. For those watching and wondering what to do next, don't rush. Don't follow the loudest voice in a chat forum. Instead, track official reports if available. Keep an eye on oil export trends, global oil prices, Iraq's trade balance, banking news. If possible, diversify your holdings, And maybe recognize that long-term stability often looks boring and unspectacular. It doesn't flash overnight. It grows day by day, policy by policy, trade by trade, confidence by confidence. If you're a new viewer or thinking of investing in the dinar, don't view it as a get-rich-quick scheme. As a long-term hold, a hedge tied to history, oil revenue, and a country that is trying to rebuild credibility and economic strength. Set realistic expectations. Understand that revaluation, if it ever happens, won't be explosive or immediate. It might be gradual, it might take years. but the underlying conditions suggest that, at minimum, nom. Catastrophic devaluation is not on the horizon. Let's also recognize that holding a currency like the dinar isn't just about numbers. It's about faith. Faith in a country's potential, nom. Faith in recovery and reconstruction, faith that institutions can rebuild, trade can normalize, and stability can return. It's not speculative gambling, nom. It's a sort of long-term commitment with risk, yes, but also a foundation. If you believe in Iraq's future, hold with eyes open. If you believe in short-term windfalls, nom, maybe consider diversification. As we wrap up, here's a final thought. In a world full of volatility, currencies rising and falling, markets crashing, global uncertainty, having a stable, oil-backed institution-supported currency isn't nothing, it's something. The dinar may not be perfect. No currency is, nom. But compared to many high-risk assets or speculative investments out there, it has real anchors: oil, institutional history, and structural necessity. That's a foundation, nom. It doesn't guarantee a gold rush, but it significantly reduces the chance of a collapse. Bottom line for every viewer watching right now, the panic is largely overblown. Yet nom, if you hold a dinar, if you're thinking about investing, do so with eyes wide open, based on verified data, long-term perspective, and realistic expectations. Don't let fear or hype make your decisions. Instead, let informed caution, patience, and careful observation guide you. Thanks for sticking with me through this deep dive, nom. If this video helped calm your mind, clarified things, or gave you a fresh perspective on your dinar holdings, hit that like button. Share it with anyone worried, panicking, or uncertain. Subscribe if you want more updates, honest analysis, and no nonsense takes on Iraqi dinar, forex, and global economic news. Turn on notifications so you don't miss future uploads. Nom, till next time, stay informed, stay calm, and keep looking at the facts.